Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What is up, everyone? It is I, Ryan Neil Wayne, along with Joe King, and we have gotten the cast for season 50 before season 49 came out, mostly because they knew that it was going to be leaked or people were going to talk, or in the day and age of social media, they would have been like, oh, this person hasn't been on Instagram in quite some time.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Um, and we got the biggest surprise was we didn't get a cast of 18 nor 20. We got a cast of 24, and we heard about 22 of them.
22 of them. The other two have been leaked, and everyone now knows who they are. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Rizzo and Savannah
yeah.
or
So,
Savannah.
so I'm just gonna say this 49 draft, those are probably the first two picks because they're guaranteed to at least be. I think one of them is a winner and the other one made it deep because I think we're gonna have three winners, one winner per tribe on the season. So I'm just gonna say it. One of them is probably the winner, most likely.
Tricky stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to put on me during the draft,
Yeah.
which, hey, you would have a 50. Hey, you might actually have someone in the finale this time.
The odds, at least final six, I think. I think at least I think both of them are final six guaranteed in my head.
You might have someone in the finale.
Yeah.
It's been over a year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. 47, 48 weren't good seasons, so it's good.
47 was an amazing season.
Uh,
48 is yeah. So speaking of which, well we should go in the order that Jeff announced everyone because
yeah.
it's also like kind of chronological order as well. Um the way he did it, he had the old school like tribal council music playing, then like it developed throughout the years.
Yeah.
So let's start off
Oh,
with
well, before we get into the each individual, I just want to get maybe a general consensus of how you're feeling about this cast heading into it. Like, what are your initial thoughts? Maybe people who you're surprised, shocked, upset aren't on the season. Um,
All right. So I've been pretty vocal about it because I wanted to temper expectations for myself, but
mhm,
also for people who will watch this and give a shit what I have to say. This cast was always going to be disappointing to people because
yeah,
there's so many great contestants out there, and unfortunately, not everyone can make the cut. They even made it a bigger season with more contestants, the
yeah,
most in Survivor US history. And some people still did not make it. And I know I was talking to Marcy, who has been on the channel earlier today, along with Pirate Sarah, and she was like, "Oh, there's like 2, 3 seasons where there is three people from a single season." And I'm like, "Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But I feel who we got, apart from whatever, you know, criteria or stuff like that. Well, some people were like, oh, it should be a big balance or, like stuff like that, or it should be evenly distributed throughout the, entire run of the show, stuff, basically all that. I feel like the individuals themselves we got were really good. Obviously, there were some people left on the cutting room floor that I wish could have made it in, but I think overall we have a really solid cast, and there's no one here where I'm
mhm.
like, really them
Yeah.
of all people? I
There's
feel
there's
like
there's there's a
everyone.
couple. There's a couple that I have.
There's one where I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I understand why she's there.
Yeah, I think, and we've said this now for a couple years, few years, that we really needed new era all stars, and I feel like we are seeing the problems with us not having a new era all star season. Before this kind of big landmark, bring back past players, because I feel like there's a lot of people in the new era that we now just kind of have to say they're not here. Who cares about them? We're doing this one. Who knows when we're going to another returning season because we now know the track record that they're okay just doing a bunch of newbie seasons. So it's kind of like very a little annoying to see like not no Jesse, no Omer, no Cody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, Shan Ricards, Xander. Like there's so many people each season, and it's like season 41 to 44, we only have one person, and that's Jonathan. So that means that Survivor is saying Jonathan is the most important player and person that they like the most in those first 4 seasons of the new era. Which Jonathan's fine, but like I just want him to do some fun stuff pre-merge and then go out early because like his entertainment value comes in those pre-merge challenges, which it's fun, but like I don't want to see a lot of gameplay from Jonathan.
It's a big cast. We'll see how things kind of like pan out. I do want to say this is a tough season in the set, or like this is going to be a tough season because there's a lot of talent here. Um, and I do feel like, yes, it is very new era heavy. Half the cast is new era. And I feel like in an ideal world, and this is kind of like what I was alluding to, it would have been like a more balanced ratio of everything. But like you mentioned, um because there was no like all stars for new era, this is kind of like what we're at, where it's like, okay, so this is like kind of, I don't want to say overcompensation for it, but we're getting a lot of new era peeps as a
Yeah.
result. Now, that could be a thing where all star seasons also typically favor more recent additions as well,
Mhm.
because they're fresh in people's mind, they're more readily available, and they haven't like moved on from it.
Yeah.
So I understand where they're coming from. And that's why I'm like focusing on the individuals as
Yeah.
opposed to where they represent where. Because I think we have a pretty solid cast overall.
Yeah. I think for the most part, they did a good job with casting for the individuals. But yeah, I like we'll get to some of these new era players where I would have been like they would have been way better served in an all-star new era season than a season 50. Bring them in back with a bunch of the other legends and greats of
Yeah.
pre. Because there definitely are quite a few in that bunch that I still would be like, I don't know about calling them like in some kind of legends or like the greats of the whole history of Survivor. Like,
The
well,
Q revolutionized the
Q is one of
fact.
the ones I say needed to be on the season.
Yeah. I was so excited. Uh, we'll get to it in a little bit,
Yeah,
but when Jeff was like, he doesn't just need, or he's not just a one name contestant, he's a one letter contestant.
yeah,
He is Q. I cheered. It's not like, I feel like there's a lot of great people here.
mhm,
So let's start from the
yeah,
beginning with Jenna Lewis, which she will now break the record for longest break in between seasons for like returning, which is will be 42 seasons.
yeah.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see how Jenna plays on the season because I think she was definitely a thinker. Like we definitely saw her play All Stars. Like she was
Yeah.
someone who she's gonna. I feel bad for the
She
two
would have won
winners.
All Stars if she
Yeah,
won that final immunity.
yeah, I feel bad for the two winners that are on the season because Jenna Lewis is going to have a target on their back. It's going to be saying, "We got to take them out. They won the game already."
I will say another thing to kind of like backtrack to the formatting. I do feel like winners shouldn't have been in the contention for
What
this. I
100%.
understand why, because they are great contestants, but I'm also like, you already had to thin the herd so much,
Yeah,
making winners, especially since there's only two, potentially three, based on the theory that
yeah,
you presented. It's just like it puts too much of a target on their back. Usually, when they have like winners allowed for these kind of seasons, there's like four or five there, so it doesn't
yeah.
feel like, oh, they're just out there and like, a potential like easy target.
Yeah, 100%. It is wild, weird, especially since I think the two winners we have are good players, but not necessarily entertaining personalities. Like we saw their gameplay, and that was like what was the more interesting part of them. But now we're getting into another game where now I don't know if their gameplay is going to be showcased the way it is with unless they win the season, which I just think is going to be hard for those two to win the season.
I'm also interested to see if anyone will know that Camilla and Kyle know each other are really
Oh,
close
Kyle
because it's
is
still a secret.
Kyle is so screwed because that's what everyone's gonna say is Kyle and Camilla are gonna link up. Kyle is a winner. Let's take out Kyle at the first chance we get.
Yeah,
And like, I don't know. I feel like there's a few people who are just like here that are just
sitting
like,
ducks.
yeah, they're just dead in the water. And unless like they get crazy lucky with immunities, they're good. They're not winning. They're not going to make it that
Yeah,
far.
I
um,
say that I say, well, I want to keep it to Jenna,
yeah, yeah.
to kind of like go back. But I feel like Jenna Lewis, it's going to be interesting to see her play, um, because she'll have 20 more years of life experience going in. Because when she first played this game, she was a young 20 something.
Hmm.
Now she's like in her like mid 40s. And, it's like she has like a new outlook on life. She's not like she has experienced so much since then. She's almost like double the age she was when, if not more, than when she first ever played Survivor.
Yeah.
So she has all this wisdom. She has had the life. And also, she never returned for like anything past 8. So idols are going to be a new thing. Uh, the different kind of advantages and whatnot that we've grown accustomed to, she's never played with before.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see her kind of adjust from there.
Yeah. Also, she's now Jenna Lewis Doherty, and in case anyone out there is curious, that's my last name. So I have to root for her.
It's not King.
It's not King. My legal last name is Doherty. So what
Wait,
a
Joe,
yeah.
did you marry Jenna Lewis?
I know, right? Yeah.
Do 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 do
Listen,
do do do
I've
do
seen her
do
nowadays.
do.
She's still rocking it. So, you know.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Just because someone's 20 years older doesn't mean they ain't still fine.
Yeah, she's aged very well, so I'm excited to see. I got to root for her now. I don't think she's like a first pick or early first pick in my like how well they're gonna
I say it
do, but I want to see her at least make jury at the very least.
same. I'd say choosing a winner pick this season is going to be very, very difficult. One, statistically speaking, it's just going to be hard in general because you have a 1 in 24 shot.
Yeah,
Also, it really depends on how the players are going to play. We also don't know. I still think it's going to be 2 tribes to start off with,
mhm.
but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. There's obviously people who talk about the start on pre New Era and a New Era tribes of 12, and then maybe turned into groups of 3. But
I did see that just if they go by gender ratios, I don't see that panning out
yeah,
because the if you were to do it that way, it would be an imbalance gender
yeah.
ratio.
Yeah,
So
I think what we're gonna see is 3 tribes of 8, and we're gonna see double eliminations every round in the pre-merge, and that's how we're gonna
I've
get
heard
people.
I've heard stuff like that. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, because there
Because
has
I
to be
feel
a
like
lot of double eliminations. They can't do a if you got. They're still doing 26 days. They're still doing that. So
which is
you,
insane. Because
yeah,
I watched a video, I forget which Survivor tuber it was, and they were saying like part of the reason why a lot of episodes seem to go going fast and whatnot, or like it's because they don't have any of the breathing room where they can get to know each other more and whatnot, or have that have even more personable moments.
yeah.
It's because they don't have time to like take a break and like calm down and talk.
Yeah, the
Um,
the fun moments of everyone like showcasing their personalities in the new era, not as much there because you just don't have You don't
The
have that
pacing
extra
of it.
you don't have that extra day where everyone is just sitting around doing nothing. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of those days. Now it's a lot more like you kind of always are on the thing. So, they're going to be showcasing only a small section of things. A lot of times it means that we're going to get like repeating moments and confessionals and things that just essentially are like hammering the same things over and over in your head, especially pre-merge. I think pre-merge can definitely suffer that if like the gameplay of the pre-merge is not like riveting.
Yeah. We'll just have to see how things pan out for that. But yeah, with Jenna Lu, I don't know. I feel like there's not too much I can say other than she's someone where I will bring this up with other contestants
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it might be more fresher in people's minds, and it really depends on how deep they look into it. But I feel like people that almost won or could have won are also people that are going to be very much targeted in the beginning. I feel one of the
Mm-hmm.
benefits that Jenna Lewis has is because that was so early on. And, like some people may not remember her game as well, or they're going to be like, all right, this is someone from season one. That's super cool and still want to keep her around. I feel like because of that, she is going to have an advantage of being someone who almost potentially won the game because of those two contributing factors, because
Yeah.
being an old school contestant and her last game being so long, it's not going to be fresh in everyone's minds.
Yeah, and also like I think everyone remembers All Stars of the season that Boston Rob and Amber dominated the game. People don't
Exactly.
remember about Jenna Lewis being that close. Like it's something that's like it's factually true, but that's not going to be in the back of everyone's mind when they're out there on the islands.
Exactly. All right. You introduce the next person.
Okay, we got a fat man in a Superman suit. We got Colby
Snow, it's a Superman and a
Super,
fat
yeah.
suit.
I know as I said it, and I was just gonna like fucking keep going because people still understood it, Ryan. But we
20,
got
20 points from Hufflepuff.
I'm now a Slytherin nowadays. Okay, Colby Donaldson. We got Colby
You can't
Donaldson.
just change it, Joe.
I my last test said I was Slytherin,
You
so
you can't just take it all and all again. You have to specifically follow the first one. You can take it like every 10 years or so, but you have to
I mean,
use.
I took it when I was in high school, and I for years called myself a Hufflepuff, and then recently took it again and got a Slytherin. So all of your it's now I'm a different person.
You're a
I'm a
Hufflepuff.
Slytherin. Yeah.
Yay, we're the same team.
Okay, now on to Colby Donaldson.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, I think I mean I don't know. He's one of the ones who it's interesting that we're getting Colby, but also like I don't think he would have been in my top choices. Like if I was in charge of casting, he's probably someone who's in the top 50 of the selections and then gets cut around there. Um, he's just I like I'm sure that there's gonna be some funny interactions between like him, Q, Coach. Like I mean there's probably stuff out there that will be
Mhm.
entertaining, but I don't know. He to me he's like just meh. Like
I
I
don't
could take
know.
him or I could not have him on the season.
I feel this is going to be interesting. I feel like he has a great story going into season 50. One, he's another person where similar boat to Jenna Lewis almost won the season. Uh but came closer, and then he hasn't really had a good outing the last two times. Like All Stars was rough for him. And then lost to Jerry, and then he was constantly saying that he's fallen from grace, Superman in a fat suit, the worst hero, even though he was the last hero standing. Like, and even then he had a little bit of redemption, but like the challenge beast we knew kind of fell, but also kind of in a similar boat to like Jerry, where all right, time has passed since heroes versus villains. And so it's like, what kind of Colby are we gonna get now? And then also it's like, has he been like training like crazy and stuff? Now, also, funny enough, like Colby is now 50. He is now in his Silver Fox era. I don't know if he has silver hair now. I haven't seen a recent pic, but
Yeah.
he older. So I think we're gonna get a different flavor of Colby. I think it's cool to see Colby back again. Um, if you're gonna get someone from Australia, I would have loved Jerry to be there, but I understand
Yeah.
why they went with Kobe. And I also think it's going to be interesting to see one of them play out the other.
Yeah, that's actually why I don't like that he's on the season. I actually really love their like that they were tied to each other for 3 seasons. And now that Colby is not with Jerry, I don't know. Jerry would have been better, so seeing Colby here just makes me keep going like I think they picked the wrong one.
I like Jerry more, don't get me wrong, but I can appreciate that Colby is here.
Okay. Well, we'll see how he does. I don't think he's going to do great. I think the gameplay is going to be too much for him, and he's going to be out pretty early because he's no longer that physical dominance like to help with challenges. So it's like I don't see him actually doing very well. I really do think New Era, and everyone's going to hate I think people are going to hate the season because I think New Era will dominate the season. Uh, Purely because of just like physicality. Also, they're not going to get targeted right away. They're going to be targeting some of these legends who the legends are going to be okay turning on each other. And then we're going to see a similar situation to like Winners at War where all the legends start targeting each other and then realize it's too late and then get swept. And everyone's like, oh, look at that. I didn't even know that all
No,
these.
I feel because of Winners at War, people are going to be more privy to it.
There's just not enough of these like super like pre-heroes versus villains players to like get together. Like we're gonna get to it, but like there was a huge time gap in terms
There is.
of where they got it, which they were like, oh, we want to like have a season that represents all eras of Survivor. They miss a huge amount of eras.
They missed the 20s. They
Yeah,
literally missed all the 20. Granted, some of the contestants showed up in in the 20s. However, if we're talking like where they got their start, yeah, the 20s were definitely missed.
yeah,
Anyway, who speaking of someone who was in 20 and that was the last time they played, Stephanie LaGrossa. Now I'm very excited. She's one of my favorite old school contestants. Loved her on the Traders, even though she wasn't a trader. uh she's always been a favorite. One of the reasons I hate Guatemala is because she didn't win when she definitely should have. Will die on that hill. She is someone where she has never had, she's always had such bad luck in these games, but now that she's older, she's wiser. She gets another shot at this, and I'm hoping she does super super well.
yeah. Pretty much the same opinion I have about Colby. I think meh, like okay. Not not one of the ones who I probably would have had coming. I'd rather have Danny Boatwright personally, but
I hate you, Joe. I hate you, Joe. You don't mean it. Take it back.
I mean it. But
Take it back.
okay, pick Stephanie first in your fantasy. I feel like you probably will pick her very high, by the way. So I'm totally
I
down.
know I will pick her high.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know. This I have a bunch of time to think before we do our fantasy pick for this.
yeah,
But I feel it's tough, and I do understand like so far each of the contestants we talked about have been like at the very least like mid 40s. And
yeah,
so I get when we're talking about these older contestants, old does not mean bad though.
yeah, yeah. I don't think so. I would have loved to see Rob Cesternino on, and he's their age, but uh, we can't have the nice things with Survivor. We've been told that over and over again.
Joe, you're just a pessimist.
I'm a realist.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe she'll be interesting, but like she's another person who like I don't know. My entertainment value of Stephanie has never necessarily been super high. It's usually the situations that she has found herself in that's been more entertaining than like her as a player. So like maybe she'll have another interesting situation that she finds herself in, but that's like you're hoping for like a thing that we have no control over.
I don't know. I feel you're not giving her enough cred. She's someone where she can be a dominating force. She's someone where another thing, even with like traders and stuff, she is she's a very smart person as well. Yeah, she also has that athlete mindset, but she's also very, very smart. I think she is going to be underestimated in this game. Because they might have like a similar mindset as you, Joe, or they might be like, okay, there's all these newer players, or there might be these more chaotic players or bigger threats, and then she's someone that could, kind of like they are not going to focus on right away, and then she's going to make it through further.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this pans out because I feel like the old era players have been shitting on new era so much that the new era players are gonna say, fuck these guys, let's show them that we're better and not stray away from the like that group. And like obviously with all those rap parties and stuff, you end up going to seasons that are kind of closer to your own season. So I do think all those new era players are way more in line with like wanting to work with each other. Whereas like some of those other like parties and stuff, like you might get random people from other seasons, but it usually is a lot of people in the similar, a few seasons around it that tend to go to a lot of those watch parties. I just
It is a
feel
little fresher, and I get what you mean, but
yeah
I don't want to write out. I don't think we're going to get another Winners at War scenario purely because Winners at War happen, and they're not going to, like, and I feel like old school players, they're going to be like, we're not going to let this shit happen again.
they can say that, but I feel like it's just going to be inevitable. I don't see. I think we're going to have
Joe, you thought Stephanie was going to win last game. Like you think a lot of things. You thought Joe was going to win the season. You were
yeah.
wrong. Maybe step back and be like, maybe Ryan is right.
That sounds like the dumbest thing you've ever said, Ryan. No, I'm not doing that.
I have
I
gotten
blame
last
Survivor.
two seasons
Production
correct.
production just fucked up the editing of Survivor 48, so that's what really happens. Um,
It could have been a little different. However, I feel like I like 48 in the sense of like, okay, I feel like it had a satisfying winner. It gave us some stuff. It was tough to watch because things were predictable, but then things got mildly interesting. And I don't think it's a bottom five season like you said. I wouldn't even put it in bottom 10. Bottom 20, maybe, but I don't think it's as that low. But
it's just void of entertainment from episode 6 onwards.
we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna circle back because we're gonna talk about 48 for a while. Once we get there,
Yeah.
it's been just a week, and now we're talking about 48 again.
God, I
You're
hate it
like, I
so
hope no
much.
one comes back. No
Yeah.
one from there deserves to come back. Three
I,
people come back.
yeah, that is one of my big complaints with the season. Like, like whoever chose 3 people from Survivor 48 to be on this should be fired and not be allowed on CBS anymore. Like, they fucked up so bad.
You're talking about cat. Okay, Joe, this is why you haven't been on. You
Yeah.
keep pissing off casting and the producers.
Yeah, well, they better make good decisions moving forwards, and I don't have to say that.
All right. Well, I do think you will have some better things to say about our next contestant.
Oh, I think you might be wrong, but go ahead.
It was your turn to introduce her.
Oh yeah, that's right. So well, you started, so I was like, oh, I guess you're just going for it. Yeah, I mean, we got Cirie Fields now. Cirie, great player. we've seen her too much. I really think that's, and like a recent of like game changers, we got to see her too. And like I get it. It's like, wow, she's gone out so many ways, the best to never win kind of situation. Um, I know she's also about to play Australia versus the world, so like we're already seeing her. We're going to be able to see her pretty soon on Survivor, even though it's Australia Survivor. I feel like this spot could have gone to other people. I think that this is kind of just like they were just like, oh, Cerie's available, let's get Cerie, which I get it. Like yet again, she's like, if there's a Mount Rushmore, I think she's like the fifth person, like the person who's just barely not there because she hasn't won Survivor yet. Um, but I would have been okay if like we had just seen her on Australia versus the world and not on Survivor 50.
I think you make a lot of good points. But my thing is, I just like Cerie, so
Yeah.
like I'm happy she's gonna be playing. I think it's also interesting her coming back to American Survivor, now being a winner of something like Traitors. The thing is, I will say I don't know how well she's gonna do this time around, especially because I'm imagining that pre-merge is gonna be long and stuff, and I feel like challenge wins are gonna be pivotal. And while she is one of the best social players and strategic players out there, it is well known that she is a challenge beast. She is not.
Yeah. And if we are doing three tribes of eight, double elimination every round, like she's probably going to be on the losing tribe early. Then they'll say we can't win with Suri and vote her. That is like a very likely option that we get here.
I mean, the thing is, it's like even in Heroes versus Villains, they were like they wanted to keep her around for loyalty, but like even they were just kind of like reluctant. It's like we're doing this because this is the group. This is the group. And it had to
No.
take her to be idled out in order for the heroes to kind of like regain, some semblance of footing in this game.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like she's just gonna be one of those ones who probably gets a lot of press around the season, does a lot of like the going and talking about it. Similar to like how Winners at War had like Ethan go around, like they had like certain winners. I think they're gonna have her probably do a lot of the press
Yeah.
and but not actually make it like super far because not necessarily because she's like makes a mistake or is bad, just like circumstances around who she is. So unless she gets in with the new era people who might adore her, like that's
I
kind of
think she
her.
can.
That's the only way is if like and then manages to like somehow survive that pre-merge, which
I
I that's the scariest
I
part.
the thing is, never underestimate Suri. She may
Yeah,
not be good at challenges, but you never know what things will fall her way.
yeah,
Uh, and the thing is, I think that at the end of the day, and I think this is another reason why we saw some people come back because we're going to talk about another person returning for their fifth time real soon. From a show standpoint, it's like it's tough in like reality comp shows because like you don't know who your headline, like your headliner could be eliminated early on. But she's one of the people that, like in order to give the season the weight it deserves and stuff, she's like, okay, we got the people on one of our Mount Rushmore. And that is
yeah,
Suri Fields. It's like, all right, to be like, okay, we mean business. It's like we are bringing her
yeah.
back for this. So I understand, and there's like obviously when we get to the next person, we're going to talk about that, and then there's one person that is later on that we're going to talk about where I think like I could have taken or leave this person. However, it makes so much sense why they were cast, but we'll get to them when we get to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Suri, I'm always going to be welcoming her anytime she's playing a game because she's cool. I like her. She's entertaining. But I understand that, yes, it is her fifth time. And so I get why some people are a little
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and it's also like the gap isn't like as big as some of these other people who kind of were in that era of Survivor. So like we've seen present day Suri essentially play, and we're about to see her play again, and we've seen her play Big Brother. You know, like we've seen her play the Traitors, like we've seen her do all the stuff now. That there's a bit
Yeah,
of a Suri fatigue. That I wish that like if she if she did nothing and then waited to play a later season, like that would have been fine. Um, but yeah, it's just unfortunate that she played. That I think she's in this season.
okay. All right, next up we have Ozzy. I'll admit, this is one person where I was like, all right, yeah. I wasn't really excited to see Ozzy. I know he's a big challenge beast. He's probably the most famous challenge beast out of the bunch. I don't have anything against Ozzy. I think he's a cool dude. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Like, did I need to see Ozzy again?
Yeah,
Maybe not, but I will say one of the things that make me excited to see Ozzy is how is he gonna, because we got quite a few challenge beasts on this season. How is he gonna fare against some of these other big challenge beasts?
yeah. I think Ozzy is one of my most disappointed people that I'm just upset is on this cast. I just don't think we need Ozzy here. Game Changers especially like kind of just showed that he's just not the Ozzy that we knew him. Like he even entertainment wise, like if someone is the second juror of a lot of seasons, but they're entertaining, they're going to get shown. You forget that Ozzy's on that season because he's
He did
just
not get
nuts. And
it. Did
I
yeah.
think he's the kind of player who is just there to do challenges and okay with just kind of like relaxing and not really worrying about anything else. And like that's just not what we need. That's just not entertaining, especially to be a five-time player now. Like I just don't need to see Ozzy on my TV screen anymore.
Yeah, like I said, I would say out of the old school peeps, he's the one that I'm least looking forward to. However, it's like kind of like in a similar vein as Suri, where I'm like, I get why they chose Ozzy. Because, like, he is one of the people where when you think of Survivor, you think of Ozzy as well. He's like one of the people that is up there. So I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not like
I,
thrilled about it,
I'm also
but I get
so
it.
surprised they casted him considering of his OnlyFans situation. Um
Listen, everyone is getting OnlyFans now. You need to jump on
yeah.
the bandwagon,
Yeah.
Joe.
I know. I just remember hearing like that he was never coming back because of OnlyFans. Like casting was upset about him. So somehow they just didn't care anymore. So it's a definitely a weird one there.
A little bit, but we'll see. You know me, I like to focus on the positives. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he interacts with some of the new era challenge beasts.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see how he does. I'm not looking forward to it. I hope he goes out early, but who knows? I think we're gonna get a game changer situation where he makes it to Merge because he wins some challenges and people don't want to vote him off, and then gets voted off very quickly.
I can see it happening, but
Um,
we'll see.
yeah. Okay. Next up, Pay, someone who I am actually excited for. Like I am rooting for the Dragon Slayer, the one
Yeah,
and only
I was
Benjamin
so
Coach Wade.
happy.
Yeah.
I know, like, there were reports that he was cut from it. I'm
Yeah.
thinking this is why I don't believe everything I read on the internet. Um, because like I knew like early on there was like, oh, that's probably like he was cut, and I was like, that's why I barely look into those because I'm like, they either are or they aren't. We'll find out when things are released. And I don't want to say spoiled it, but on one of the because all of the Tuesday before they made the announcement, they were dropping seasons that a player has returned from this. There were a few where they had multiple returnees. They just didn't say that. They said a player.
Mhm.
But one of the ones he commented on one, and it was like Jeff being like, oh, like 18 contestants, 20 contestants, something like that. And then he was like, I find the number 24 pretty interesting. So like he kind of like soft confirmed it before it came out that it was going to be a big cast of 24.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Coach, great entertainment.
Yeah.
He's someone where I relate to him a little bit. Not that I'm like a compulsive liar or anything, but kind of crazy stories, gets a little emotional, sometimes a little what's the right word? Uh Kind of like falls on the sword and kind of like has honor and stuff and can get a little emotional. Like
Yeah.
I've related to Coach Ben Wade a few times.
Yeah, well, he preaches his honor and integrity, but is totally also not like he's ready to backstab if he has to. Like he's, he'll flip if he feels like that's advantageous for him.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean he's the entertainment. Like I feel like this is um the first one that's now like I just want him on the screen purely for entertainment. Like not
yeah,
gameplay wise. Like I want to see him have a conversation with Q and Emily Flippin. Like I want to see that interaction.
that is probably if we don't see any of those interactions in this game, that'll be the biggest disservice to television than Joffrey Baratheon not meeting Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. I don't know how if you know even what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for those who don't know, these are two very messed up dudes, and they should have met because I would wonder what kind of crazy shit they would come up to because I'm like, this is an interaction I gotta see.
Yeah,
I need to see Emily Flippin with Coach. I need to see Coach with Q.
yeah,
Just purely for the entertainment and purely for the memes.
yeah. Yeah, the content will be great. So like coach has to make jury. Like they cannot
Yes.
vote if he goes out pre-merge. I
We
think,
riot.
yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of furious fans who are going to be upset with the season if he's like out episode 3.
Yeah, I agree. Also, it's been a while since he's played. I think it's cool. Like I
Yeah.
follow him on Instagram. I think it'll be interesting to see. I feel like he's someone where he'll be a little wiser this time. Obviously, he's not going to pull the Christian thing again. And I think this time around, he'll find it harder to be in that leadership role that he likes to try and find himself in.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see how it goes for him. I'm hoping great things because Tocantins is like that was like the first season where I'm like, okay, I'm watching Survivor now. And Coach automatically jumped off the screen for me.
Yeah. And also I know Tyson was like cut last minute basically. He was very much somewhat in the running for a very long time. Would have been interesting to have Coach and Tyson kind of get back
Back
together.
at it
Yeah.
one more time.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
coaches like 3 times that he's played have were in such short succession. Like they were like this small little capsule of what coach was during that period. So we're now getting it. Yeah, now this is a silver fox. Like he does have gray hair. He is in that kind of category for silver fox
Hmm.
now.
Yeah. All right. Let me get another drink and then I'll come back and I'll introduce the next one.
But okay. Let me. I
Pause
gotta.
it.
Yeah, I gotta move things. Okay, and we're back.
All right. Next up, we have from Brains versus Bronze versus Beauty 2, Co-Wrong. We have Aubrey Bracco. And I am so excited to see her come again. I think she's someone where Edge was not kind to her. She went out a little bit earlier than I would have liked in that one. she is a very big strategic threat. I feel like she is. I want to see her play again. Like it's interesting to see her come back for a fourth time. I don't know what to expect, especially with this cast, but I'm excited to see her.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Aubrey for the season because I think she had one really good game in Korong, and then I think her Game Changers game was like lacking. Like it almost felt like a shell of who she was just a couple seasons ago. Like it just wasn't and it's because obviously she didn't make it to the end, like she didn't kill wrong. So the story and narrative wasn't as focused on her. And then Edge, obviously, she was just screwed because she was on the tribe that hated the returning players. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure because like based off of her last two appearances, like they weren't stellar. Like if she hadn't had her Kill Wrong game and we had just been based off of Game Changers and Edge of Extinction, like I think people would be like, oh no, that's not. I don't like Aubrey, but everyone remembers Aubrey of Kill Wrong, and we're wanting Aubrey of Kill Wrong. But that only happens if she makes it to the end.
We'll see. I feel like some people might get into that mindset of like maybe because maybe some people are like, yeah, maybe Ko was just kind of like a fluke because their other games weren't as strong. I mean, even if it wasn't, she still placed pretty high in game changers. It wasn't like
Yeah,
she,
but you can place high and not be good. Look at Troy Zan that season.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't compare. You're being a
Yeah.
dick.
I'm just saying, like, you can't base being a good player based on placements.
No, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm like, she's someone where she's not someone to sit on her hands and do like she's out there do stuff. I feel like she's actually in a decent position in the sense of like, yeah, she's I don't want to say she's a big name. She's like definitely a name,
Yeah.
but I feel like there are going to be bigger fish to fry, and
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to target her right off the bat.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Somewhat recently had played an org where someone tried to put a target on me by saying I reminded them of Aubrey. So like like there's still like a little bit of like she's like a female Cochrane kind of situation going on there. So I still feel like she might be looked at as a strategic force that might even get targeted early because maybe they lose some challenges and she ends up getting taken off because they're afraid of what she could unleash in the merge, even though maybe the last two times we haven't really seen the full Aubrey experience.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I feel she's a good addition. I'm glad she is here. Um, but I will say it's a bit of a question mark how the game was going to go for her. I will say that.
Mhm. Okay, well, we will see how Aubrey does here. Moving on to someone else that I'm excited for. I'm excited to see
Oh yeah.
Chrissy Hoffbeck from HVHV H. I almost forgot the third H there because it's a weird ass name. But yeah, no, she likely wins the season if the force fire making twist is not something because Ben gets voted out. It would have been her versus Ryan versus Devin, and people pretty much have said that Chrissy wins in that scenario. So she's like one of those ones that was screwed over by this massive twist that stayed in the game forever. That is very likely not going to be in the season.
I highly doubt it's coming back.
Yeah.
It's just it's been happening too many times in a row. It's lost its I'd say there are some times where it's relatively interesting and they come up with something new with it, whether they're breaking a record or something interesting happens with it, like this time where they were both, like where Camilla was like to Eva, was like, girl, you got this. And it was just like you're cheering her on. I get having good sportsmanship, but like that was something where I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah. I feel Chrissy, I think she has a decent shot. of getting to merge
Mhm.
because I feel like she's going to be useful and she is a challenge beast out
Mhm.
here. However, she might get overlooked a little bit because you have Jonathor, you have, Joe, you have
Yeah.
Ozzy. Uh Colby still needs to prove himself. Um if he's gonna get out of that fat suit. Time will tell. But it's like you still have some of these really big challenge beast threats that are like that might soak it up or like soak up the hits or soak up the attention first. While I'd say Chrissy is definitely, I would say she's a challenge beast when people look at, you know, the women challenge beast. She is one that people always bring up, especially because
Mhm.
she almost won the game.
Yeah. Well, I love that
I
she
think
is considered a challenge beast when she vomited on the first immunity challenge of the season. Like she basically had to get dragged through that
some
challenge.
some people have a rough start. Some
Yeah.
people have a rough start, Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she is going to be very interesting going into this. I think she's going to do well.
Yeah, I think those old school players need to look at Chrissy as someone to bring over because she is, closer into their their age. I feel like she has a little bit more of that like style of maybe wanting to work an older school styled game of loyalty and like wanting to get like a group together. Um and yeah, I'm not sure if she's going to be the challenge beast, like, or win a bunch of challenges like on her season. We have a lot of big challenge threats that if they make it to merge, I think Chrissy might have some trouble getting any immunity wins. So it might have
That
to
could
rely.
work to her benefit, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say she has to now rely more on her social and strategic game instead of physical.
Which her social and strategic game were good in
Yeah.
HVHVH.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying that that's probably the wheelhouse that she really has to shine in.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, excited to see her back.
Mhm.
All right, next up, gosh, which person do I start off with?
Let's start. Let's
Uh,
go with the White Lotus one because that's on my screen first.
all right, so we are gonna go with Mike White Lotus. This one, I'll be honest, I could have taken or leave Mike White because he would have won if it wasn't for him already being like, a pretty decent writer slash producer in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And now it just went up even more because he was like, all right, now I played Survivor and now I have one of the, like a very popular show on HBO that also features some Survivor contestants as well. So
Yeah.
it's like, like he's going in, I think they turned it up to 11 where it was like, all right, it's Mike White, but now it's up to 11 because now he's not just School of Rock, he's White Lotus,
Yeah.
um a show that everyone was talking about earlier this year. And it's been around, but like I feel like it was more potent this year than it was a couple years ago when it first started.
Yeah.
So I also know that he and Jeff are pretty close. So that's a big portion of why he's here.
Mhm.
I think the second reason why is because it's that recognition of, oh, White Lotus. And it's like that's going to bring some viewers of that into the show. It's like, oh, the writer of White Lotus is going to be on here. I got to check that out. So,
Yeah.
like it makes sense why he's here. Not saying that he's a bad player by any means. Like I said, he
Yeah.
almost won, but it's also like, do I want? It's cool seeing him play again, but I don't know if, especially like this is one where I'm like, if we're looking from specifically David versus Goliath, I'm like Davey, but like Davey out of the bunch.
Yeah. Davey. We also get Gabby. I feel like Gabby would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So yeah, but hey, I will say Mike White, he was entertaining on the season. Um, I
yeah.
think that Mike White is the most likely person out of these 24 to make it to final three. Not necessarily saying win, but people are not going to want to vote him out because guess what?
They want to
Cameo
appear on White Lotus.
cameo on White Lotus. And guess how you get that to happen? Don't vote him out and you let him get to the end and potentially vote for him. Like there's a very good chance that Mike White's gonna win purely off of reputation. And it's like good reputation. It's not like a dangerous, scary for the game
Yeah,
reputation. It's just like, wow, I can like enhance my career of other things other than Survivor by simply just like letting Mike White get to the end.
I I do wonder because not everyone there is there for specifically that. And also, I don't know, especially with such a big season like this, some people might be like, hey, if Mike White is there, then I don't have a spot there. So, like, I don't want to say it's, oh, he's like a lock in to be in the top three. I
Yeah,
say you make a good point. I can see it happening, but I don't want to say that, as like gospel,
yeah,
like it's like going to be
yeah,
written down
yeah.
as what's going to happen.
Picture this: you're in the game out there on Survivor 50. Someone comes to you and says, "Hey, we can't let Mike White win. He best friends with Jeff. He has a lot of money. Let's take our shot. Let's make sure one of us wins." You can now, in that moment, become best buds with Mike White by going and saying, "Hey, Mike, look at this guy's wanting to vote you out." Other people are going to get behind because they're like, "Oh, now he's trying to ruin our chances of doing something." Dave versus Goliath has been having all these people come out onto White Lotus. Let's have season 50 people now be the ones doing it, and then bam, whoever is throwing out Mike White's name is getting basically thrown under the bus, and that is another fear that people are going to probably have of even just saying let's vote Mike White.
Maybe.
Yeah. So if I was a betting man, I would bet on him making to final three. Maybe not necessarily winning. There is a chance, but I do think that like if I had to pick one person, I'd probably pick my White to be in final three.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, now let's move on to someone who also sat with Mike White at Final Three, someone who I'm very excited to see play again, the Rice negotiator herself, Angelina Keeley.
I
Yeah,
cannot wait
yeah, this is gonna be great.
for her and Q to be at tribal council. Q gets eliminated, and she's like, Q, can I have your Q skirt? Q, can I have your Q skirt? And then Q
uh,
is like, no. It's like the season 50 version of the Liz meltdown, but it's the Q skirt.
yeah,
It's-
I just want to see her get to the Rice negotiation that is in the new era nowadays, and her be
Mhm.
like, "Yes, I can finally showcase my negotiating skills. I'll give you everything in our camp for that bag of rice."
I am interested to see if her and Emily Flippin are on the same beach.
Yeah,
Do they recognize each other as friends or nah fam, the other has to go out?
yeah,
Because I feel like they have similar personalities. I will
mm,
say that Emily Flippin had a better story in the sense of like you saw the character development and whatnot a little bit more with her. I am curious to see those two interact. I think it will be interesting to see what their dynamic is.
yeah, I agree. I think Angelina was one of the ones that I was hoping would be on the cast. I know life stuff was maybe going to get in the way because she just like recently had a kid, also. So, sometimes parents don't want to leave, their kid in the early stages to go starve on an island. But
Mhm.
luckily, she's able to make it work. She's going to be out there. I think she's someone who I can see her story this season going so many ways. I can see her being no one wants to work with her on the tribe because they saw her on 37, thought she was crazy, takes her out early. I can see them wanting to take her to the end because they think that they can beat her, and we get to see Angelina be all Angelina again for the season, which would be so great. I can also see just like her maybe not fully getting some of this like new era quick gameplay and just like imploding in the middle of the game and getting taken out because she just like her brain gets frazzled. So I think I think that her like potential is very like all over the place.
I agree. I think that's a fair statement.
Mhm,
All we know is no matter if it's for one episode or 13 episodes, she's going to be entertaining.
mhm,
All right, last but not least, rounding up the David versus Goliath game, we got Christian Hibiki. And this is someone that everyone, and I mean everyone, has been like, this dude is a must. Like, if you had to bring one person back, it had to be him. And we
mhm,
got him. And I think it's like we've talked about how great the dude is. He's very, very smart. He at one point had the most votes against him throughout the game. He is someone where he's very fun, he's smart, he'll talk your ear off during a endurance comp. Uh, yeah, I think, and like even if he isn't like the stereotypical like social player, he is a social player as well.
mhm.
He's really, really good, and I really hope he does well in the second go around.
Yeah, I agree. He was one of my favorites from Dave versus Goliath. I think the standout star of the season, and it is
Agreed.
an S tier season. It is top five season of Survivor, and he was the star of that season. So it's like the perfect opportunity. He's only played once, so people want to see, was it a fluke that he was, as entertaining, or that he played like the game that he had done, are we going to see him do that again? How is it going to evolve now that it's been this way? I think that he's definitely an interesting person to see on this cast. Another person who, however long he's on the season, he's going to be entertaining. We're going to get Christian confessionals every episode that he is involved. Like
I agree.
they're not going to ignore Christian in the 90-minute episode of Survivor now.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I know that was brief, but like he's also someone where I think we've talked about a lot. There's not much to be said because he is. I think we're both in agreement. He's awesome, and
Yeah.
this has been long awaited. And we're finally getting it.
Yeah. Speaking of another person who it's been a long time overdue to have him have a returning season, we got the weatherman, Rick Devens. There he is in all of his glory.
Yep,
The
I
Kool-Aid
got
man.
that at one of Fairplay's little watch parties.
Uh,
It was cool. Because he'll do like Survivor trivia. Sometimes he doesn't care about who answers. He's like, you said that with confidence. Here you go. Uh,
yeah,
we love ourselves some fair play.
yeah.
But yeah,
Devens was guaranteed to be on the season. There was no
100,
world.
100%. Like he was originally, like there were talks of him just being on the show in general.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he. I feel like Edge of Extinction. I think is a very interesting season just like with how everything just kind of panned out. I feel like he just elevated it by so much. Like, I think Edge of Extinction is like an A tier season. Without him, I think it could very much be a B tier season.
Mhm.
But like, Rick Devens, when he came back, he left no crumbs. Well, maybe in the final four fire making, but like, that was the thing. It was like
Yeah.
that was like like he's someone where he had a really great go about once he came back. I think he's going to be entertaining. I am curious to see how he does because he's known for being, someone
Yeah.
that can have fake idols, real idols. He's also known as someone that can play super hard. Uh, I don't know. I'd say
Yeah.
like I'm worried about him. But and I think we've been saying this for the past couple people, but we know no matter how long he's going to be on the show, he's going to get a lot of screen time.
Yeah, I've said it almost since he played that his next returning season player season, um, he's going to be out very early. Like I really think that he's going to have this huge target on his back, and
Yeah,
it's not because I hate him. Like I love him. I want to see Devins play, but
his,
man, the
his
target.
reputation.
Yeah, yeah, and it's different than Mike White's reputation. It is strategic. It is chaotic. It is big personality. It is I win if I make it to the end.
It's just like you 10 years from now,
Yeah.
Joe. Wait, how old is Rick Devens?
He is 41.
41. So like you in 10 years from now.
Yeah.
But like back in time because 38 came out while he or like yeah, 38 came out when he was damn it, math. 19 minus 6
He was like 34,
35. So
35.
like
Yeah.
that's you in like 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for Devons. Even if he is only in for 3 episodes, like I think I really do think he's gonna be the Rob Cesternino of the season. Similar to like All Stars, where we like
Hmm.
him. He maybe gets a few really funny confessionals in those few episodes, but ultimately, it's going to take a miracle, I think, for Devons. Like he's got to really find people on day one. If he does not have a solid alliance on his tribe day one, it is pretty much going to be lights out for Devons in the first like week or so of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that happening. All right. Next up is our first new era contestant, and that is going to be Jonathan Young, Jonathor.
Mhm.
Uh, he was coming back. He and Jeff had a big bromance. He's also someone where in the new era, I don't know, maybe David gives him. I don't know. I have to compare the two photos of like Jonathan's muscles versus David's muscles and whose
Mhm.
muscles are more muscly. Though, if we take that aside, Jonathan's feats throughout the entirety of 42, being able to take the waves like and stuff to hold up the ladder, lifting that boulder pretty much all by himself out of that
Yeah.
little like pit thing. Like
Yeah.
the dude is insanely strong.
Literally carrying
So
his tribe in the boats, and like everyone
yeah,
else is getting dragged along as he's solo carrying them.
he also he is a very friendly dude. He is a very friendly dude as well. I know, like gameplay wise, socially, it did seem like he had cracks, especially near the
Yeah.
end. However, his second time going around, to his core, he's a good guy. So I feel like he's someone that is going to do well. They're definitely going to keep him around for a while. But once we get into that like that right before the merge or earn the merge territory, that's when they're going to be like, okay, you got to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be fun in the pre-merge, and I think that's why they
Yeah.
brought him on the season is because he did make 42's pre-merge interesting. Like there, every episode we got to talk about a crazy athletic feat of strength that Jonathan was doing. So
Mhm.
that was obviously good. But yeah, once we kind of got to like the gameplay aspect of it, like yeah, you could tell like I forgot like fully what happened, but there's like double tribal that happened that like everyone on his tribe essentially realized that Jonathan was terrible at strategy. But luckily Jonathan had won immunity, so he didn't tap so they couldn't vote him. But it was just
Yeah.
like yeah, they were all like, ooh, this is like just bad gameplay all around.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that double was like, that's the Tory elimination where, both
Yeah.
Drea and Marianne were like, okay, I see two,
Yeah.
I see two persons of color. right after one each other. I'm not going to let this continue. I'm playing my idol because I don't want to see another person up there that looks like me.
Yeah.
And so both of them did it. And then it was either Tori or Lindsay, and Tori was rubbing people the wrong way that season. So it made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I don't know who Jonathan I was wanting to target, but it was either Marianne or Drea at first. I think it was Drea, and then the whole thing kind of came up, and it was just like we can't let this happen. And then yeah, it was a very messy situation.
Yeah. But I think Jonathan is going to be fun. I feel like as soon as we saw him and as soon as we saw the bromance he and Jeff had, we knew he was going to come back. I feel like
Yeah.
he was a given.
Would you say he is the best New Era player in the first four seasons of New Era, 41 to 44?
No.
Yeah.
I know that I think did we talk about this in the video or did we talk about this prior to the video?
I think we had kind of touched on it in the video, but we didn't go into detail.
Yeah, so you go ahead and bring it up since it's your point to make.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's so many other people that should have honestly been in consideration. That you're people like Jesse, Omer. I think it should have been like the lock of season 42. I think Shan and Ricard are also big people from 41. Xander, big
I
person
agree.
as well.
I
Um,
feel like I had this conversation earlier with Marcy and Pirate Sarah.
mhm,
I understand why there were some seasons kind of left out. 41 specifically, 41 had a lot of great people.
yeah.
However, 41 was not a well-received season.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
so I
think 41 is the one that makes the most sense. There's no one there,
yeah.
but 43 and 44, I don't think. I think 44 is crazy that we didn't get any of the Tika 3. Like we left season 44
Yeah.
going. They are locks. Or at least two of them are locks for an All-Star season,
Yeah.
and they didn't make it.
And 43, I mean, Jesse Lopez, I'd say like a lot of people consider him one of the best of the new era. So not
Yeah,
him not being able or him not being one of on the island is pretty shocking to a lot of people.
yeah,
Myself included. I was like, wow, really? I heard he was cut, but like I said, I take cuts with a grain or I took all those rumors with a grain of salt. Uh, but like, see, it was like, oh yeah, he didn't make it. Especially, I don't know, like he probably would have had a big target on his back,
yeah,
especially because, well, it's the second time you play is always different because, like, let's say you're not a challenge beast, now you know how to navigate the challenges a little better. Maybe it's something where you finally practiced a little bit because now you're going out and you're just like, okay, this is the big leagues this time. Like, this isn't just
yeah,
my first time. This is my second time coming in one of the most historic seasons ever.
yeah. Yeah, I mean Jesse's also interesting because this season, by the way, did not follow the diversity mandates. There is slightly more people of white descendants than
Yeah,
other. So and Jesse would have been a perfect
still that
person.
territory.
He would have been in that territory. He's a great player. Like it's not like you're just doing it just to fill the diversity mandate. You would have gone like, yeah, Jesse makes sense on why he's here. Same with Omer.
All
I
right,
think,
I do want to bring up that because I know
yeah,
that was another thing kind of circulating the internet. Um, and part of the reason why I didn't believe the whole Rizzo and Savannah thing in the beginning because I'm like, well, if you look there was 10 BIPOCs and like there's 10. And then I'm like, oh, well, obviously the other two would come from 49. I don't know Rizzo's heritage, but I think he's white.
yeah,
Um, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's something where they could have easily kept the promise. I am curious where they go from here because
yeah,
I know, and I'm trying to word this carefully in the sense of like, because it is something bigger than us.
yeah.
I knew as soon as they said that that the one season that they don't do it, they're going to get a lot of flack for.
Mhm.
Same thing with Big Brother. As soon as they don't, or as soon as like they shouldn't have said 50%. They should have been like, we will try, like we're going to cast more and leave it a little ambiguous and just
Mhm.
consistently do 50. Now that they haven't done one where it's 50%, it's close to 50%, but I still think there is going to be backlash because of it. Now, I've
Yeah.
been working all day, so I have not really seen too much of it, but it is something that obviously after, the 2020 and the Black Lives Matter movement during that time, that's what made CBS be like, hey, we are going to make sure that, we give more visual representation on here and cultural representation as a result. And because of that, like they're kind of going back on their word a little bit. I don't want to condemn them for it. But then again, I'm just a white guy.
Yeah. And I think there will be a lot of hate if a white guy wins the season because they did not. And then because of this, there will definitely be backlash, especially if we see a lot of the people of color going out pre-merge. I think that there's going to be like they've loaded a gun and handed it to the players, and they're hoping that the players don't fire it at CBS.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, what I care about most, give me a good season.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like for me, the winner, as long as they're a
Mhm.
deserving winner, I'm gonna be okay with it. But like I said, these are issues that are bigger than me, and so like it's gonna have a different impact to other people.
Yeah. Well, now that we've gotten done talking about the white guy here, let's move on to a white woman, one of our favorite white women of Survivor. We got
Emily Flippin,
Emily Flippin. Man,
a fan
yeah,
of the Day After podcast, at
I'm
least
root
her season.
yeah, I'm rooting for her. My 45 is my
What
favorite new era season. So and she was like the star of the season.
it's up there for me. It's definitely up there for me.
Yeah.
And I met Emily Flippin. She recognized me, and it wasn't from Darman. It was so cool. I loved her story throughout 45. I feel like she did say initially she wasn't coming back, but I'm so glad she actually did because like
Yeah.
this was, like she is definitely she definitely had a rough go around because the Lulu losers and everything. Uh I'm curious to see like how playing a second time is going to go because she found herself her first game. Now she's coming in with that from the get-go, but also people know her. And I am worried because I know in Heroes versus Villains Stephanie was targeted very early because she was on a iconic season where everyone from her tribe was voted out because they kept on losing. I am worried if she gets into
Mhm.
enough early losses early on if they're going to target her for that reason.
Yeah, imagine she starts on the same tribe as Stephanie LaGrossa. Worse, that's a losing tribe right there.
No, 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 no. I am curious to see. Like I said, I feel like her and Q, that's going to be a match made in hell that I hope, I hope it's just like, please, CBS, for the love of God, make this like one of the biggest rivalries of this
Uh,
season because I
yeah,
feel like those two together would be comedic gold.
yeah.
Please
I
give us this.
I'm curious to see how Emily does because her season, there's a very clear growth arc that she had. And I'm curious to see like what she's going to bring this season because now she's had that growth arc. So is she going to now maybe revert to some of her older ways and do some entertainment stuff, or is she going to continue being, nice Emily, friendly Emily, just freaking out when she sees a charcuterie board at the auction.
I don't know if she's going to call out someone on the mat like she did with Bruce last see,
Yeah.
which I remember that, and I'm like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. She almost tanked her game in the first 10 minutes of the game.
She was sh if that try, like if Hannah did not, pull herself from the game,
Mhm.
basically, there is a strong possibility she is the first boot of that season.
Yeah. And then she also got lucky that Brandon Donlin sucked at every challenge that he ever came across.
Yes.
So that was good. And then she got lucky that Sabaya decided to not play the idol that was there and said wait and try to get it for
Don't
later.
remember. This was like that was 45 feels like a total drama in the best of ways because I love total drama. But like moments like that with Sabaya with the, the like pretty
Yeah.
much putting it in the fire, waiting it for to melt is the most it was so funny in its execution. It was like it had a perfect like little story arc within that episode. It was hilarious. It was brutal, but god damn it, it was good TV.
Yeah. And the fact that she had the option to lose her votes and potentially keep it for later, and she chose to lose her votes just to go out there. I mean, there's so much chaos that happened that episode. It was great.
Yeah. But yeah, I
Yeah.
am worried about how Emily Flippin may do. I honestly hope she does well, but we'll see. This is a very stacked cast. I'm gonna be sad throughout the show because we're gonna lose some good people early.
Yeah. And hopefully it's not Emily Flippin.
No, please don't. All right, next up from 45, we have D. Valladares, the winner, and the first winner revealed for season 50. When she was announced, I'm like, oh, okay, so we're getting a winner. But I was also like, it makes sense.
Mhm.
Is she my favorite winner out of the bunch from the new era? No, but I think she was a good player, a solid player. And while she won and she had her entertaining moments, I think she was. The thing is, like, I get why they chose her. I also feel like she's someone where I would have been okay if they chose someone else.
Yeah. I'd almost be okay with someone who I almost think is like a similar archetype from this season, who went out earlier, did not win, like a Kelly Nalbandian. I'd almost rather give her a shot who hadn't
Yeah,
won because and we had said this kind of early on about the two winners that we have here. They played good games, and like you can't take that away from them.
you
But
can't.
I don't think they are that entertainment like machines or entertainment factories that are what you need, especially when you are literally only bringing two winners. Like if you're bringing two winners, they better be phenomenal entertainment. Marianne would have been a better winner from this selection.
Marianne would have been fun.
Yeah.
Um, I will also want to say this because this is I don't want to say an elephant in the room. The game is the game is the game, and whatever happens after the game, it's up to you. Yeah, I'm talking about Austin and D, and
Mhm.
like one of the contributing factors was the kind of like budding romance that was like hinted at the show, and then like during final tribal council it looked like, oh, maybe it's not really that big of maybe it's not really a thing, kind of like if it was the Hunger Games and Peeta or like Katniss started to like actually turn on Peeta a little bit
Mhm.
or actually pulled the arrow. The thing and like they didn't end up together, and that's totally fine. Just because you have a showmance does not mean you have to marry them. And that's not shade towards anyone. I'm just like that's just like how some relationships work out or
Mhm.
budding relationships. Uh because like when you're on the show, it's very different than real life. Um, because there's so many different factors that go into it.
Mhm.
Um, so it is curious to see where things might go. Like because I feel like that was like a big storyline throughout the season for her too. She doesn't have that. I do think that gives her more room to shine beyond that. So I will say that is a
Mhm.
plus this time around, depending on how far she makes it, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I like when I look at like if you want to bring back returning players, like the ones who always shine are the ones who are just like thrilling entertainment, thrilling TV. Um, and and that's why some like the people I've been talking about, like I'm not too excited for because maybe like they played an interesting game once, but like it was purely gameplay that was interesting because now you can't replicate that gameplay. You got to everything is going to be very different. So it becomes a little harder. I'm just like, is this really the right person you want to bring back? Especially, and I'm even more scrutinizing these two winners because they're the only winners that have been brought back. So it's like, if you're going to be coming into the season as one of the few winners, you better be like fucking phenomenal television.
And I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like I said, I'd say like I do like Kyle a little more, but I feel like there is merit to D. And I feel like this is a new opportunity for her so we can see her kind of out of like the Reba 4 and stuff like that. Because even though she was a pivotal part in the Reba 4, I don't remember her moments as much as Austin's and Drew's. Granted, Drew
Yeah.
was a one-liner machine and
Yeah.
he was hilarious. But yeah, and I feel like when we did see D, it was a lot of strategy, or it was
Her big toes.
don't talk about her fucking feet.
We're gonna see more toe shots, just letting you know.
We're changing the subject now. 46.
Okay, I'll let you handle the first letter person here because I think you want to.
Yes, yes. Q is back. We are sporting our our Q skirts will be sported. It will be donned for season 50. I am so excited Q is back. He is great TV. He is so memey. I still quote this man to the day. There are some times where Joe will mess up in his confessional, and I'll send him the big mistake. Cue that saying big mistake. He is one of my favorite new era contestants. Uh, this man is comedy golds. I think he is someone he does have a lot of similarities to Coach in the sense of like he talks
Yeah.
about honor, but he's done some questionable things. The thing is, it's there. The honor is definitely there. It's just sometimes in Survivor and also the way he goes about things, they're kind of it kind of, puts that into question. But I
Mhm.
feel like Q Q Bernadette is just so much fun. Even if he's there for one episode, I think he's going to be a great time. And I especially think we're going to talk about another contestant from 46. I will say their dynamic going into this is going to be interesting. And I feel like
Yeah.
that might be we'll get to Tiffany in a bit, but I feel
Mhm.
like this was kind of like their way of trying to recapture the Tony Sarah Lacina thing. Where
Yeah.
it's like we're getting two people that work together and ended up hating each other
Yeah.
as they were playing the game.
Yeah. Q is someone who I could very easily see be the first boot of the season, but
I
it's
don't want it
I don't
though.
I don't want to either. I think he's great television, but boy howdy, I don't know how many players are going to be actually ready to play with Q. Q is great to watch, but like if I was out there playing with Q, it would be a lot. It would be a lot of
I would
chaos.
I would try to make it work with Q, but if the rest of the tribe is not feeling Q, I'm like, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, and I do think it's very possible. But yeah, I'm sure that he's already come up with so many different random schemes and maybe new children's games to figure out what everyone's strategy is.
Duck, duck, goose. You
Yeah,
said goose on Sari because you know that she isn't going to catch up to you, Ozzy. I know that your head is always in the game. Big
big
mistake.
mistake. Yeah. So yeah,
Christian and Vicky kept talking about science and stuff while we were playing while we were playing hopscotch. That means that you're always trying to get into my head and show how smart you are. Big mistake.
congratulations, you got there eventually.
Shut up. Listen, I worked all day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
But yeah.
yeah, yeah. Q. I mean, he was the like probably the biggest lock. I would have been shocked considering
Yeah.
Q was literally saying like it would be a big mistake if Survivor doesn't pick him for 50.
Yeah, I do also want to kind of like in a similar vein of what I said about Angelina and Emily. I kind of am curious on the same thing with Q and Coach. It's like these two have very similar games and
Yeah,
styles. I'm like, do they become best friends or do they try and kill each other?
yeah. I'm
Will
curious.
Q be the new dragon?
He's gonna slay the Dragon Slayer.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how he does. I'm excited. Should be a lot of fun coming from Q, even if he's only there one episode.
agreed. Agreed.
Okay, I will now go on to the next one here. We got Charlie Davis, the person who a lot of people say should have won a season 46, especially considering his closest ally, Maria, said she would vote for Charlie to win, and then got to the jury and was like, "Nah, fuck that." I saw the fire in Kenzie's eyes and fire making, and that made her decide to change because otherwise it would have
Yeah.
been a 4-4 split. Ben would have voted Charlie. Charlie wins.
Charlie, also, I gotta say how because when Jeff was reading the the votes or reading the contestants, he was like, it was a cruel summer for him and he shook it off. It's like he made two Taylor Swift. That is Charlie's legacy too for being the
Mhm.
big Swiftie.
Yeah.
Uh Obviously, Charlie had a lot of great moments there. One of the biggest takeaways from Charlie was that he was a giant Swiftie, as well as him and Ben having a competition of who can list more songs. Ben for AC/DC or Charlie for T Swizzle songs. And so, all right, now enough of that. About gameplay, I think he is going to get targeted early. 100% because he was so
Mhm.
close to winning his seasons. It's fresh in a lot of people's mind. Plus, he's coming from a season, or like in this one, if we're talking about season representation, he is someone where there are two other people where he was in that same thing. And I feel
Mhm.
like I don't feel like Tiffany and Q they might have hashed it out after the season. I didn't look into it too much. However, if people are basing it off of what they saw on TV, they know that Charlie will be better with Tiffany and Q than Tiffany and Q will be with each other. So I
Mhm.
can see him being targeted very early for being the second runner up and being overall a very popular contestant.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Charlie's very likable. I think he could have Spencer Bledsoe upside of looking at like a someone who could have won Cagayan and very strategic, but maybe comes into an all-star season and actually isn't as big of a threat, even though he was the threat of his season. Um I do think that he can easily kind of find some weird, quirky likability stuff. He's clearly got a great mind for the game. I think he's definitely very
He
intelligent.
he is. I know we made the comparisons between him and Kyle in our 48 review. One thing that I forgot to mention was like, Charlie also studies law. And now that's public knowledge. I feel like
Yeah,
that's also something that some people are going to look at. I want Charlie to do well. He was one of if we're talking, I love 46 because of the memes. But if we're talking about like straight up gameplay and stuff, that's where like, Charlie shine and he brought that. And him and his duo with Maria and that storyline and everything. I think it brings a lot of interesting things coming from that, coming into this game where he was so close. I'm curious to see where he goes. I hope he does well. I am just like I would say like my analysis does not, like my analysis comes from logic, but it also comes from a place of worry because I can see him being targeted early because of it.
hmm
So I hope, Joe, I hope you're right. I hope you're right where he's able to navigate this game very well.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty positive on like new era people's chances in general. So I think that he's like he could get taken out. I can see that world. But I also can see the world that he kind of just is in with the group because it seemed like everyone wanted to work with him, and I feel like people are gonna want to work with him at least in the early stages of the game this time as well.
I can see that.
I can also see him saying like, "Let's take out maybe some of those older people and be a reputation." Like he wants to get that reputation of keeping some new era people together.
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the smart move.
I think it's a bad TV move, but it's, for a lot of these new era people, it's probably the smart move.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. All right. Next up, rounding up 46, we got Tiffany Nicole Irvin. Uh, I'll admit, was I don't want to say was a surprise because I'm like, I think there's a lot of merit to bringing her because one, she was entertaining. How she did not put up with Banu shit. She did not put up with Q shit. And also like the whole thing with her and her idol as well, and that giant chain of people not playing their idols, that started with her. Or wait, was it her or was it
Technically,
Hunter?
Gem. Oh yeah, Hunter went out before, and then also Gem went out earlier. So there's kind of I
Yeah,
know that wasn't the
she's a
chain,
part of that
but
chain.
yeah,
Q is also a part of that chain. He was the last person from that chain. But
yeah,
also like I feel like she's someone where I'm like, okay, I wasn't really expecting her. I feel like kind of like what you brought earlier, where I feel like she's more of a new era
yeah,
all star altogether. I feel like this might be your chance to kind of like prove it. Kind of like in a similar
yeah.
vein of like how they brought in Amber, they brought in, I don't want to say like yeah, I don't think that Tiffany, or not, yeah, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
long day. I don't think Tiffany was a bad player by any means. I think it was I think if I were to choose someone where I don't want to downplay her by any means because I feel like there is merit to bringing her, but I would say like out of the bunch, she's the person where I see the least merit.
Yeah.
Like in the sense of like I feel like if I were to swap someone out, it might be her.
Yeah.
But I understand, I understand, and I also am excited to see that interaction between Q and Tiffany again.
Yeah. I feel like this is a very much like what you said, Tony and Sarah situation. I think that they're going to start on different tribes, hoping that they will meet up at some point. Q will get taken out. And I think Tiffany is a very huge, I think she has a great chance to win this game.
She
I,
does.
and it's, and it, I think I think it would be a little boring because there's obviously people that we like more than her. And it's like what you said, she would have been great in New Era All Stars, but because she's in this, like her threat level is like non-existent compared to so many of these other players. Like, why are you taking out Tiffany?
I would say I wanted to bring this up as I was explaining it, but would you put her kind of in the same vein as like kind of like an Amber or Parvati where they didn't really get to shine. Like they, you remember them from the
Mhm.
season, but I would say their second outing would be their best one. It feels like
Yeah.
she is that choice where, you know, they'll do that for like an all-star season where it's kind of like an out, I'll say like an out of left field choice.
Yeah.
I, but I don't want to say it's out of left field for Tiffany though, because I'm like I said, there is merit, but like she's someone where she may not be as big of a name amongst the other people from the new era,
Mhm.
but I feel like what you said that makes her more dangerous in the game because she's going to be overlooked a lot as a
Yeah.
result. But I also don't want to compare her to Amber and Parvati because I know like their receptions prior to their all-star seasons were much lower
Yeah. I,
than when they played the second time around.
yeah.
And
And
I
all
don't feel like she necessarily falls into that category.
Yeah, and there's obviously people who kind of come back who didn't do very well and then also don't do well. But I feel like Tiffany is the kind of player who typically is going to be in the group of an early tribe. I think that she's likable to a degree, like where like you're not going to just be like, oh, let's just take out Tiffany. And the fact that she isn't, a Christian or a Rick Devens or a previous winner, and she's actually kind of more like the one of people from 46 that you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's not like I did not like. I think most people did not have Tiffany in their bingo cards of Survivor 50 if they did not looked at the rumored cast list. So it's
Mhm.
definitely it definitely is like she like the reasons to take out Tiffany feel like there's not much for a very long period of this game. Like I can easily
Yes.
see her just making final six without anyone even saying let's go for Tiffany.
I 100% agree with you. She I feel like she's going to do good in this game.
Mhm.
And even, you know, like, and the reasons why, because I didn't want to talk badly about her because I see her potential. Like, that's
Mhm.
why I was like having trouble trying to like
Yeah.
articulate what I wanted to say because I 100% agree with that potential. Also, I think one of the things that's great about Tiffany as well, she has personality, but she's not a
Yes.
character.
Yeah.
And if you've watched these shows and you like really think about it, you see the difference.
Mhm. Yeah. I think yeah, I think she'll be good. And like I wouldn't say that she'd be a top contender unless I thought because like yet again, not someone who I'm like, man, I hope Tiffany wins this game because there's other people like probably at least 20 other people on this cast that I would rather say I like this person to like win because I like them from their season, like they were big standouts. Tiffany's not necessarily one of them, but I think that her as a game player is very likely to end up kind of making it all the way to the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on next to the only representative of season 47. We got,
Which is surprising to me.
yeah, because apparently season 48 is just so much better than 47, even though 47 is also not that great. But we got Genevieve, who, you know what, she was pretty good. Like,
I'm
I
very excited Genevieve's here.
Yeah, I know so many people are. I was never the biggest Genevieve stan. I heavily said that her move against Soul was just like she slashed her legs and
Agreed.
tried to crawl her way to the end. It was not the best look from like a play gameplay standpoint.
It was big movitis.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, she's here. I would have preferred Andy. Andy would have been like my 47 representative that I'd rather see.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Also, I would have preferred to see Rachel over D because I feel like
Yeah.
you know, like if we're talking about like winners with personalities and like I feel like Rachel's story is a little better than D's story as well. Also, then we also get that rivalry of Jen versus Rachel again.
Yeah. I also think Rachel actually has more to prove than D because D won in like a more controlling fashion, whereas Rachel needed like certain immunities and idols and like things that kind of worked out in her favor to get to the win.
Mhm.
And I do think that that's like if when I'm constructing my winner ranking, that does knock her down. If I'm talking like pure gameplay wise, like that sends Rachel quite down. So it would have been interesting to see Rachel obviously play
Quite
and
good.
and like have a chance to kind of get rid of that stigma that she needed
Mhm.
all of that stuff. But yet again, also I just don't think we should have winners on the season just to begin with. So
I
that's a
agree. I
but
agree.
but yeah, Genevieve, I mean, like she's fine. I think that it I'm not upset that she's here, but like I like if she wasn't here, I probably would have been fine. She's like, some people like her, so like good for them. Like they get their Genevieve fix. Like I know you love Genevieve. But for me, yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, here she is. We'll see if she uh makes a terrible move again at final 10. That's basically makes it impossible for her to get to the end.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would say, all right, no matter what of your feelings of her, I think she is a strong competitor. I feel like it's tricky because she's also been compared to Kim's Radlin Wolf. I am worried if that's going to stick with her. I am worried, like, if she's going to be seen as a very strong player early on. Uh, but I can also see things go very well for her as well. I'd say like she's difficult to place purely based off like I feel tribe chemistry and also how the cast perceives Genevieve is going to be very, very important.
Mhm.
And how well Genevieve does.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. She is someone that I could easily see being that early boot, just like
I know.
just purely off of reputation and being like new. It's she's in everyone's mind. It's not like we've had enough time to forget about her. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, also like I still don't understand why she was like this big presence later in the season, but like she just is like fuck all in the first three episodes of the season. It's so weird.
Yeah, I agree. But like when Genevieve was Genevieve and we got to see her, she shined.
Yeah.
Except I will give, yeah, the soul thing, like you've already mentioned it, and I agree. Um, but yeah, I think she's a great addition to the cast.
Mhm.
Now for Joe's favorite season in all of Survivor 48. Who should I start off with?
Let's start
I'm
with
gonna
the
go
one
with
who
my
should have won.
I'm gonna go with my winner pick. I'm gonna give the one that should have won, quote unquote, to you, Joe. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna start with Kyle Frazier. He's screwed.
Oh yeah, there's no way that he's making that far. This is
I feel if this
he,
was a if this was a thing where it was like, okay, 13 member or like 13 contestants made it uh the merge phase and jury, I think he might do better. But the fact that I think this is a bigger cast, he's one of two or three winners on this season. I feel he is I feel like he is kind of doomed.
yeah,
Things
he's
can always change. Like I do think like he is a smart. The thing is, it's like a lot of what got him his W was playing down who he was and playing down his strongest bond, and also lawyer.
mhm.
So it's like I feel like those things now that everyone kind of knows, and especially him being a winner, it's going to. I feel like he's doomed to be pre-merged. And I don't want to say that,
Yeah.
but in my hearts of hearts, I'm like, it just doesn't look good for him.
Yeah, if I was Kyle, I would have said no after seeing the season air, and then be asked. Like, I would have not wanted to be on it because I said it in the finale. I think Kyle is about a B tier player, but he was on a cast full of people whose just strategic abilities in the game were D and below for a lot of them. And he kind of got to seem like he was this big strategist because no one else was essentially playing the game. And now he's going to enter into this season where everyone is going to be looking at him as this big threat. And I don't think he's actually like an S tier player that can like navigate like a Parvati who can like come into a season with a big threat and then somehow survive. I don't think he's actually going to be at that level. I think people are going to know that they can't trust him because of his whole thing with Camilla. I think they're going to see hit Camilla, who's also on the season, and be like, well, one of them has to go. And if Kyle is going into any pre-merge tribal, he is going to be the person that everyone is going to talk about as we need to take him out. And so if this is like a lot of doubles happening early on, no way Kyle's surviving all of that. Like
Yeah,
he has to be on a tribe that just like wins out to make it to jury. Like
it is.
that's his path is to do that.
Like I said, I don't want this to happen,
Yeah.
but it seems very likely that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I do like Kyle. I think he is a smart player. I do feel like the benefit of these 48 people being in this season is like, okay, yeah. The meta of that season was stay loyal, and anyone who breaks the loyalty, you get rid of, or if they're not a part of the group to begin with. And now that it's going to be returnee season, I think it's kind of like, it gives them that kind of like opportunity to be like, okay, let's see what you're made of in this set of circumstances. So I do see a benefit of seeing him, Camilla, and Joe in this season and how their games are going to differ as a result. However, I will also say, same deal with D, where it's like we really shouldn't have any winners, but the fact is we do. Granted, like I said, I really like Kyle. I think he's a cool dude. So I'm glad he's here. We'll just see how things pan out for him.
Yeah. And I want to also stress again, if you're a winner on the season, you should have been fucking great entertainment. Like the only confessional that, and he had the most confessionals of the season. The only thing I can remember is him talking about how him and Camilla are in a secret alliance. That's the
It
only
was
memorable confessional, and we got it many, 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 many times.
not just several, many.
Yeah,
It it's kind of like, in the Challenge USA where it was Danny McRae and his like my wife Kiki.
yeah,
It was kind of like in the same level of like it's like almost every single confessional.
yeah.
Uh
But at least that was like building like why Danny was trying to play and win for his wife. This was just like it was just a meme. Like it was, and like it wasn't even entertaining to like watch as like doing it. It was entertaining for us as fans to make fun of them saying and like them putting the editors that the fact that they put it in so many times over and over and over and over and over again.
yeah, I agree. All right,
So
next up. Well, we still obviously have 49. We can kind of speculate. I don't want to touch too much on the leaks and
we
whatnot.
still have two players to talk about here in 48.
I know we do, but like I was about to say, oh, we have two people left, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to touch on 49 a little bit. But before we get to that, we
Yeah.
have, well, you introduced the,
Yeah, the one who the edit told us should have won the season because Jeff had a man crush on. We got Joe Hunter, who, yeah, he's here.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
the I don't
I
really.
think that, yeah, that's fair. I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with him. Like I think he's a cool dude. He's a big comp beast as well. So I'm excited to see how he does. I'm excited to see how he interacts with people. And like and kind of like same deal with Kyle where I brought up it will be interesting to see because 48 was a bit of an anomaly in the sense of like, all right, modern Survivor is usually not played like that. In this kind of season, it'll be interesting to see how their games adjust from there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Especially because even though especially because like even though Joe was a little bit manipulated as well as like he did turn on like people in his alliance, but to be fair, they turned on him first, or like they were giving him sus, like they were being sus. So like there is that, but like someone who is very much known for like being a loyal stand-up guy, we'll see how it kind of varies this season.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't really want to see Joe, to be honest. He definitely was, the big person that big personality, but like, man, that alliance was just so uninteresting. Like it really felt like they just like sucked all the entertainment out of the cast and out of the season. That it just was not fun to watch. And like Joe's a great guy. I just don't want to see people on the season, especially the people who were in the end of the game, honestly, in the season. This is just it's a travesty.
I love how Joe was like, I don't want to see anyone else from this season, and then Jeff Probst was like, all right, three it is.
It's a disgrace that this is on the same level as David versus Goliath and returnees right here. It's a disgrace.
Oh,
It's and
oh, Joe,
it's
chin up,
bad. It's really
chin
bad.
up.
Seriously, casting department, you guys should make a public apology for doing this.
And this is why you're never gonna get on Survivor, Joe, because you say shit like this.
Well, you know what? They need to stop being crybabies and figure out how to fix their show. So,
Okay. All right. Last but not least, for our official confirmed contestants, we have Camilla. And yeah, so with Camilla, like it's kind of like interesting because like right before, like at the finale, all the jurors kind of agree. It's like, yo, if you made it to the end, you probably were gonna win this. So I'm curious to see going into this time. I think you already kind of like hit the nail on the head already on like how it's going to probably play out where they're going to see her as someone who almost won the game and then she's probably going to be targeted because she's fresh in everyone's mind because for the record y'all, they are filming this literally as 48 just ended. Like they about to start and at the time of recording they're about to start, so
Yeah.
you know like they just saw the finale, no ifs ands or buts.
Yeah, I think Camilla's yeah, another person who I would say has a very, very, very uphill battle for her to have a chance in this game.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think she'll win. I think if she's lucky, she's going to be on the jury. I think that she's and like I know she won two immunities, so it's like saying, oh, she can do challenges. We saw that physically, in any time it was a physical challenge, she was the last person to complete it. And it was purely
Yeah,
like puzzles that she was good at. So if there are some of those challenges early on that don't have puzzles and they push her and she's in the physical portion and they lose, she's going to be an easy person that they just end up cutting.
it was I will say one of her best moments was coming from behind and winning that challenge at final five.
Yeah.
I will say it, even if it, like I don't want to say this to devalue a win, but a win is a win on whatever season you get, especially
Mhm.
like for immunity, unless there is something like there was an error made by production. Like it's like you won it because you were the best one out of the bunch to do it. But like everyone else did suck at the puzzle. But like she was very good at the puzzle, and so therefore it didn't really matter how long it took her to complete everything else. Because completing the puzzle is the win condition. Um, yeah, it's gonna be, like she will have had some time to prepare for this. So maybe like, it's like kind of like, oh, okay, what were my weak points of this? She is probably aware of her weak points. Whether or not she's done the training and stuff like that to make up for it, we'll see. But I feel like Joe is going to be all right in the sense of like I can see him kind of like making it to that like mid game portion where it's like either like around the merge or earn the merge. Like I see him getting to that point, but I feel like with Kyle and Camilla, they're going to be targeted early.
Yeah. And, yet again, she was one of the few people on the season that was sneaky and, actually strategizing. So the fact that she was one of the few people and they had to emphasize that whenever they could makes her seem like she's, I think, a bigger threat than she actually is compared to the average survivor player. Like the scale is like she seems like a better player than I think her like average of how she would do on any given season is. So yeah, she's got a lot of work cut out for her on the season.
She does. She does. All right. And then last ish is 49 people.
Mhm.
Uh it's hard to say because like the leaks until I'm just gonna say I'm gonna have plausible deniability about it. We don't know anything. Their bios haven't really come out yet. So yeah. I will say it's gonna be interesting going into this game with there being two people that the rest of the cast has not seen play before.
Yeah.
And I wonder what their mindset is when they see them. I don't know if they're just going to be like, welcome to the family, or they're going to be like, okay, they must have done something to get on season 50.
Yeah. I I mean I think I know which one is the winner and which one's not the winner. Like I think Savannah is winning season 49 and I think Rizzo is going to get fourth or fifth place but be like the confessional person of the season.
Are you saying that because you really want Rizzo, and so I choose Savannah first?
Uh no, no, no. Do whatever you think. Yeah. I think you're
I
going to
don't
pick
trust your tone.
I think you're going to pick Rizzo.
Why? Because I used to say Riz back in 2024.
Yeah, and
That was so last year.
I think I think you got to pick Rizzo. I think he's right up your alley. And I think just by the nature of these two being the most known quantities, you have to pick one of them as your winner pick. You just have to.
Yes, I feel like that is for our draft.
Yeah,
I feel you have to, and then once those two are out of the way, I'm like, all right, this is like our secondary winner pick where
yeah,
there's not that bias going into it.
yeah, yeah. Because
Because like,
this is safe. This is like that one of that these two are in a deep run of the season, which means they have a chance to win the game. And also, like, if you're a winner and you got to kind of come back, you can really downplay yourself as a winner.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All right. So that's everyone. Yeah, I'd say it's too close, it's too early, and it's too late for me to choose who I think is gonna win from it. I feel like choosing a winner pick out of this is gonna be damn near impossible or improbable.
Yeah. Tiffany is up there. I don't know if she's number
Tiffany is
one,
up there.
but she's probably top three in my selections.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Uh, yeah, there's definitely people I'm going to be rooting for, but winner pick, I have to stew on it a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the ones also where my winner pick might just be who I like, similar to like Winners at War with Tony. I was like, well, I want to root
Or
for
like what I
Tony.
do usually.
Yeah. Well, I think returning season is like you got to kind of pick the people who you really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So like there's a chance I pick Devins as my winner pick, even though I know he's not winning, just because I
If you
love
do,
Devins.
you are a masochist if you do.
Especially if I have a really bad season 49 draft.
Yeah. Yeah. You're Joe, for the love of God, don't choose him as your winner pick. I don't want to hear it throughout the season where it's like, no, this season sucks because all my people are going home early.
Listen, I think this season is going to have a problem because I think a
This is
lot.
like season 48 all over again where I lost my favorite contestant. My winner pick first again.
I think this season is just going to have a problem of a lot of the big entertainment people going home early, and we get left with a game changers fashion of post merge.
You're a realist, but you say you're a realist. You're a pessimist. You're a
No,
pessimist, my dude.
I'm just saying, it's there. It's definitely it's likely. I hope it doesn't happen. I love it for it to not happen. It's likely. It's likely.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. Well, that does it here for this little kind of like impromptu recap of season 50 and all the contestants. Next week we'll be hitting you with some more Brant Steels. We got some fun
Mhm.
stuff in the works. Um but yeah, until then, we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.